Hey guys, I'm Daniel. I'd like to welcome you to the first video edition of Eternal Canabliss. Yep, we finally made it to the video format. I know it's taking a few weeks, taking a little bit, but we're finally here and we got it going. Eternal Canabliss is about showing the human side of marijuana and the cannabis industry and things like that. The point of this is to offer insights and stories that foster thought about where our humanity lies in relation to this odd time of partial legalization. Also here to offer some stories and some fun insights on things that have just happened, in the world and things like that. So, or even in my own life, just have a little fun with it. Just some funny things, some anecdotes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing this journey with you guys, and really cool that we're in the video format now. So recently I read this article in Forbes by Chris Crane titled "Legalizing Cannabis is the Answer to Vaping Concerns." And in this article, he states that legalizing cannabis nationwide will ultimately reduce the number of vaping deaths and illnesses that we see. And right there, I was already intrigued on this article, because that's something I also share some similar sentiments towards. Like I do believe that legalizing cannabis will also curb some of the vaping deaths and things like that, because what's not emphasized enough in this whole vaping scare and this potential prohibition of certain vapes and things like that is that the deaths are mainly coming from illegal THC cartridges, opposed to just your everyday vapes. And yes, the flavor vapes, yes, that's a totally different subject. That's about marketing towards kids and young people, and I'm not trying to get into that or go down that path. I'm really focused on the THC, the illegal THC cartridges, and how that's actually the thing that's hurting people, harming people, and causing all these different issues throughout the nation. And I find this is interesting that he says that if you call for regulation and education of marijuana and nicotine vape products instead of banning them, you'll have less people trying to go around the bend and into the black market and things like that, and trying to find these vapes, these cartridges that are extremely dangerous because of the lack of knowledge of what's actually going into the chemicals going into these unregulated substances. So in this article, Crane, he goes on to mention hysteria and mass hysteria throughout United States history in regard to drugs, alcohol, marijuana, and things like that. And he mentions Harry Anslinger, who is honestly kind of the mastermind behind the hysteria associated with marijuana back in the early days, the early 1900s, the early 20th century. He claimed that marijuana induced violence and insanity, and worst of all, blatantly racist claims that African Americans and Mexicans would use cannabis to fuel all sorts of crimes, violent crimes, sexual crimes, things like that. But all that saying, like, that's just kind of where Crane was going, just kind of to set the scene of what Crane was going in talking about hysteria, and how the hysteria behind banning vapes could potentially lead to more dangerous and more detrimental outcomes, similar to the dangerous and problematic outcomes that resulted due to banning marijuana and causing so much vitriol and hatred towards cannabis and marijuana and things like that. But what I found interesting in the sections and the segments of this article that were specific to hysteria was that Crane said without access to legal and regulated vape cartridges, people will ultimately face two options. They will either obtain illicit black market THC cartridges produced by anybody, or they'll just go back to buying illicit and illegal drugs elsewhere as well, and smoking regular cigarettes and smoking things, and really going back to just harming their lungs altogether. And my stance, which also kind of coincides with Crane's eventual stance, ultimate stance on this, is that it's so counterintuitive, counterproductive. By banning vapes and the research and the study behind vape ingredients and the oils and the cartridges and things like that, without regulating that, people will continue to make these things on the black market, will put chemicals, pesticides, things like that in these cartridges on these plants that they're growing, which is the exact thing that is causing people to die. People are smoking these illegal black market THC cartridges that have been cut some sort of way with things such as pesticides, with things such as hydrogen cyanide, which is illegal in the normal market. That's a regulation, that's part of the regulations at normal grow houses, at legal grow houses and farms, cannabis farms. You can't use hydrogen cyanide on plants, because that plants that humans will be consuming, ingesting, because that's deadly. By going into vape bans, scientists won't be able to then learn what is the right way to produce these cartridges and the substances that go inside these cartridges. I really recommend you to check out the link to this article and give it a read for yourself. It's pretty interesting. But I really just think that the problem is lack of regulation when it comes to these THC vape cartridges. People are dying and people are getting sick. So if the problem is the lack of regulation, which then leads to people consuming harmful products without their knowledge, then wouldn't the right decision be to legalize it nationwide, so that now we have more sets of eyeballs and more brain power working to make this a safer product to consume? And I don't know, this might be a stretch, but I like to think about it as it's very similar to the circumstance that we're currently seeing in the food industry, where people aren't purchasing products if they don't know what's going in them. The government is now requiring farms and manufacturers to state in the label what's going inside of these food products. And so I believe that it's very similar to what should be happening with cannabis. State what's in there. State, why is this product in there? Why is this ingredient in this cartridge? And I believe that everyone who supports the regulating and stating ingredients involved in the food industry, I would think that they would want to support the whole idea behind regulating cannabis ingredients and forcing people to put what's actually going inside of these cartridges, these different chemicals. Why are these chemicals in here? People should be sympathetic to, wanting the legalization and the regulation of this naturally grown product, this naturally grown plant. So, yeah, like I said, check out this article, give it a read. It's pretty interesting. Do a little story time, quick little story time. Nice little anecdote to kind of end this off the right way. Okay, so when I was in undergrad, I think I was 20 years old. Me and some of my friends, we decided, hey, you know what? Tomorrow, Saturday, let's wake up, let's make some weed cookies, and then let's go see Avengers in 3D, the first Avengers. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was gonna be a wild Saturday. All right. But anyway, so we got this weed butter, it's oil. It's about 3 grams of it, which is kind of a lot when you're making cookies, especially just for 3 people. But we had no idea what we were doing, to be completely honest. So we put all of it in there, baked up these cookies and stuff like that, got them out, ate them. So about an hour and a half after, we ate these cookies, that's when we went to go see Avengers. And I kid you not, man, we're sitting in there already, excited as hell. We're sitting in this mug. It's Avengers. Finally, everybody come together. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Hulk. Everybody come together for this movie. This is what we'd all been waiting for the last 5 years or whatever during the span of the early Marvel days, Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so we're watching this movie and stuff. I'm enjoying every second of it. I feel like I'm in the movie the whole time. But it's really funny. I remember, I'll never forget this actually. So I remember when Bruce Banner, towards the end of the movie, the final fight scene and stuff, the final battle scene, Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk mid-punch when he's fighting these aliens and stuff. He turns mid-punch after just dropping the line, "Hey, Cap, you wanted to know my secret? I'm always angry."
Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
And then that's when he's turning into the Hulk and stuff like that, and he hits it. It's super dope. But I just remember freaking out when that happened. I was so excited that I, was overjoyed, might have let out, an overly excited, hell yeah, but super loud, across the whole theater. Everybody heard it and stuff like that. Not even thinking about where I was. I had completely forgotten where I was. I was so immersed in this movie. And I just let it out. And everything would have been cool and stuff. people would have just let it slide by and stuff, just keep going. But then I hear from across the theater, man, shut the hell up. I was like, what? What happened? Which also, at that point, would have been cool. Except for then, everybody in the audience is cheering. Everybody start clapping when he said it. And I was like, yo, man, like they are tripping. But I will tell you this. I probably would have been more embarrassed or would have even cared more. But, haha, I had those cookies. And so I was vibing. I was chilling. Didn't think anything of it. Finished up this movie. It's a great day. Great day. So, all of that said, moral of the story is, come on, man. What's embarrassment to someone who just had three and a half weed cookies? So cannabis can't be all bad, right? Well, hey, that's all we got for today. I want to thank everyone for bearing with me while, try to figure out some of the technical side of the first video episode. Man, and I look forward to speaking with you guys next week. Have some more better anecdotes, I guess, some more stories, maybe even get a guest. You never know. Hey, we're in video format now. We can do anything. So, hey, have a great week. And remember, as always, in this crazy world we're living in, try to live in a state of eternal canabliss. Thanks. That's all we got. I'm Daniel. Peace.